2025 has started. It started yesterday with the Oreze art exhibition. Started yesterday at 3 p.m. Today there's going to be the youth carnival, and from every indication there is going to be a huge thing happening this evening, all thanks to the Ofala festival. And of course tomorrow there's going to be the ceremonial Iro Ofala happening by 9 a.m. All right, this is also going to be streamed live here on Udala Radio 104.7 FM, and you can find videos and pictures on social media. And on Saturday, Azofala is going to be happening. And best believe Udala Radio 104.7 FM is going to be a part of it all. We're going to be live and direct. There are going to be videos, interviews, live streams. By live stream, I mean we're going to have a system where everything happening there is transmitted live. The way you're listening to me now, you're going to be listening to everything happening at the Ofala. So if you're into the diaspora and you'd like to hear or see, go subscribe to our social media handle. On YouTube, it's at Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. All you need to do is to like and follow. And every information you need, the photo speaks, everything is going to be up on our social media. Remember, today is going to be the youth carnival, and trust the Onitsha youth to come with the glitz and the glam, the colors, the beauty. Everything is going to be on check. And of course, it is the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Good morning to you and welcome to the program. I am Chisom Chinedu. A lot has been happening. The past 24 hours have been very, very dramatic, I must say. Defections. Not defections exactly, but resignations from the PDP. The PDP, I would say, has been raped, because we do not know the place that this particular governor that has resigned is going to yet. But presently, with one party having 28 states in the bag, LP having one, APGA having one, and a few other parties having one there, we are going to be left with the leading party having more than 29 parties. That's what the Minister of Information has said, Idris. He said by 2026, the leading party APC is going to be having 30 states in the bag. Presently 28 in the bag. We do not know Duoye Diri's destination. Yes, that's the governor I'm talking about, the governor of Bayelsa State. We do not know his destination yet. But of course, all of these we're going to look at today. All of the predictions of his destination we're going to be looking at today, especially since he's already rounding off his second tenure. And so the big question is, why defect in the first place? I am going to be joined today on the analysis desk, as always, of course, by Dr. Tony Olisa Mbeki. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, Chisom Chinedu. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, the good people of Southeast. Good morning, Ndanambara. Good morning, Onitsha. Good morning, everyone under the reach of our voice. We're back in our sanctuary, and we're back to do what we know how best to do. We cannot do that without the help of the Almighty God, who has made it possible for us to be here this very morning to do justice to developing stories. And remember, you don't need to go anywhere. Be the first to know some of these things happening, why they are happening, stories behind them, or the behind the scene part of it, the ones people are not talking about. That's why you need to lock it down here on the 104.7 FM, because we are prepared to give you not just the best, but something unheard of, something you may not get to know from any other source or from any other quarter. Welcome once again.
All right, we're going to start off by telling you what the front pages of the papers say. And we're starting. Before I start, actually, I'd like to let you know the papers we have on our desk this morning. We have the Punch, Vanguard, The Nation, and The Guardian. And we're starting with The Nation. The banner headline here is Lokbobri, Wike, others okay Diri's exit from PDP. Deputy Governor yet to decide. Dixon Obikik, PDP State Chairman endorse convention. This story is on page 2. Stable Naira, food price cash drop inflation to 18.02%. On page 3, 5,000 teachers get employment letters in Edo. On page 5, Topolo donates 10 billion naira to Delta Security Fund. On page 4, Tony, Topolo donating 10 billion. Is that how rich Tantita is? I mean, is that how rich Tantita has made him, that he can donate 10 billion? Not 10 million, 10 billion. Anyway, on page 7, NERC approves 28 billion naira for discos to provide meters. Also on page 7, new investments to add 600,000 barrels per day, 2.0 billion gas daily. And on page 3, Edun spotted in high spirits at London Gallery booth. On page 7 again, UBA to unveil white paper on Africa's financial infrastructure. From there we go over to the Vanguard newspaper. The banner headline here is on page 30 and it says, Obi, Dixon, ADC rail against spate of defections to the APC. And the riders, nobody can capture Southeast with defections, says Peter Obi. Tinubu's one-party state unfolding, the ADC has that to say. I remain firmly with PDP, Dixon. 3 more PDP governors will soon resign. Fayoshe. Suicide. Reps move to ban hazardous pesticides. This is on page 5 and it says Vanguard Summit assembles panel to deliberate on suicide crisis. 70% of suicides in Nigeria linked to ingestion of toxic pesticides. Lawmakers. At speakers, panelists emerge for summit. The faction. By 2026, Nigeria will have 30 APC controlled states, says Information Minister Idris on page 8. Currency swap. New framework underway. Cardoso on page 12. Above the nameplate of the paper, inflation rate slows, first time in 3 years to 18.02% on page 19. And Nigerians feeling the slowing. We won't negotiate with bandits, says Katsina Governor Raja on page 33. Bayelsa Governor Diri, Speaker, other lawmakers quit PDP on page 14. Nigeria risks chaos over rising violence. Sultan, Muslim leaders warn on page 33. And these are the stories you'd find on the Vanguard. There is a sports story, alright. Oshime's best striker in the world. That's from Chile. That's an interesting statement there. Is he the best, Tony? You are very, very versed in the football field. Is Oshime the best striker in the world?
When you talk about the best striker in the world, it depends on who is looking at it from which point the person is looking at it. Because if you look at those who we have now, you have Erling Haaland, who is in top of his form. And by me looking, I think the best striker based on statistics or based on the current form should be Erling Haaland. But you know, Shimon is one of us or one of our own, so we need to promote him the way. He's
actually good.
Shimon is very good. There's no doubt. He's a kind of striker. Once you have him in a match, defenders will be rattled. Defenders. That's one thing about likes of Haaland, Eukeres, and then even those who have rattled defenders. They may not score goal, but defenders will never have peace. So it's important to note. In fact, if you look at
play the parts.
Yes, if you look at one of the games Galatasaray played against Liverpool, somebody like Virgil van Dijk never had it easy. While Osimhen was on the pitch. So if you look at it from that angle, I think both of them exchanged jerseys after the game, and then it was a way Van Dijk was acknowledging his impact. And Galatasaray from nowhere won Liverpool. Remember with Liverpool, the Premier League champion, Osimhen was in that very game. He did stop coordinator, he committed Van Dijk to make so many errors, and then he had his way. So that tells you the kind of striker Victor Osimhen is.
All right then. Our boy is doing good. That's what matters, and it's good that people are actually seeing the impact of his work, and he's getting the credit while he's still here. And it's good that he's being paid here. I hope that teachers also get this kind of acknowledgement. Let's go over to the Punch newspaper. The banner headline here is Hurricane Tinubu, mass defections ignite one-party state fears. On page 2, Atiku will be kicked as Tinubu tightens grip on South with governor's defections. APC awaits Diri, Oti, Kefas, Motfwang. Right, this story is on page 2. About the nameplate of the paper, Jonathan slams success of abandoning Bayelsa projects on page 14. President shoot jet still unsold 4 months after listing on page 7. Inflation drops to 18.02% in 6-month streak on page 24. Senate screens new INEC chair Amukweton today on page 22. Lagos rejects National Assembly's Central Gaming Bill on page 6. Foreign over murder of Osun local government chair on page 5. House probes $35 million modular refinery project on page 24. And finally, on our desk today, we have The Guardian, and the banner headline on The Guardian can be found on page 6, and it says, Obi, Articles 2027 bid wobble as defections, internal strife, rock LP, PDP. Stakeholders welcome easing inflation, worry about cost of living crisis on page 15. Reps probe $35 million brass modular refinery project on page 28. Wike mocks the factors as Diri dumps PDP with 21 Bayelsa lawmakers on page 6. Wike said, "You accused me of working for the opposition. Now you should be thanking me for working to put the house that you are now going to live in together." Interesting take. Senate screens Amukweton as INEC chairman today on page 3. Katsina government not part of community's negotiation with bandits, says Rada on page 29. Nigeria's revenue to output ratio may drop to 9.2% by 2030. IMF warns on page 15. And the final headline on the front page of the Guardian newspaper on page 28. Tokbelo contributes 10 billion naira to Delta Security Trust Fund. I still find that quite baffling. But of course, the conversation is going to start in earnest now, and we know what the biggest story in the polity right now is. I'm going to take it from the Guardian newspaper, and of course, it is Obi. Articles 2027 bids wobble as affections, internal strife rock LP, PDP. There are some riders here. Southeast stronghold falters as lawmakers, party structures fall to rivals. Obi's greatest mistake was failure to transform protest votes into party structure. Indecision could make Obi unelectable in 2027, analysts warn. But the judge Fort's ADC alignment calls it political miscalculation. Ojo, Obi is still credible but needs strong platform to remain relevant. And of course, right before we delve into all of these matters, something really important happened yesterday. I'm going to go ahead and share a voice note, or rather a video, an audio clip, that's the word now, an audio clip of Doye Diri's statement yesterday when he resigned his space in the PDP. And he did say something really important. You need to hear this for yourself.
I, Governor Doye Diri, do hereby resign my membership of the People's Democratic Party. And I'm not going to resign alone. And as you can see, I'm here with Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, and all the members of our party who are going to go with me. And so today, I have formally resigned my membership of the People's Democratic Party for very obvious reasons. That is a...
And of course, he said he resigned for very obvious reasons. But two things stuck out for me, Tony. He said he's moving with his people. It means that the PDP in Bayelsa State is more or less handicapped if he's moving with all of the structures. I also read somewhere on the news this morning that about 8 local government chairmen in Bayelsa State have also resigned their membership of the PDP. We do not know exactly where Doye Diri is heading to right now, especially when his predecessor, the likes of Siriake Dixon, is of the opinion that he doesn't see any point in Doye Diri moving at this point. He actually did say yesterday that Doye consulted him at different points over and over, and he personally stands with the PDP. But let's stick with what Doye Diri did yesterday. And again, I'm also curious to find out, does it make sense? Does it make any sense then that as a governor who ascended to that office on the platform of a party, now presently does not have any party? What does the law say about that? I saw a statement from actor and LP statesman, LP stakeholder, speaking about Kenneth Okonkwo. He said that the governorship seat in Bayelsa State should be declared vacant. As it stands, though Idiri is not in a party, what is the legality behind that?
I think that is, we have talked about this yesterday, and we must point it out. It's not about coming out based on your sentiment to say this or to say that. What does the law say about somebody of a governor not belonging to any political party, especially when he was elected on a political platform, but he decided to resign from that very political platform? It is important we let you know that, yes, if you go by the provisions of Section 177, subsection C of the 1999 Constitution as amended, you first and foremost know that that section reads that a person shall be qualified for election to the office of a governor of a state if, subsection C says, he is a member of a political party and is sponsored by that political party. That is when he is going for election. One, he must be a member of a political party and he must be sponsored by that political party. That is by the provisions of Section 177, subsection C. But the law is silent on what happens if he resigns. There is no explicit constitutional pronouncement on what happens when a governor resigns from a political party without being a member of any political party. After being sworn in, the law is obviously silent on that. So it is important for those who are making analysis saying that what he has done is unconstitutional, what he has done is an impeachable offense, what he has done is this, or what he has done is that. I think those people are not being fair, especially when you consider the provisions of the law. So it is important that the law is quite silent, as I mentioned earlier on. The Constitution we operate does not make any pronouncement on governors leaving the political platform upon which they were elected. The only statement the Constitution made has to do with those elected either in the Senate, House of Representatives, State House of Assembly, talking about losing their seat when there is no division of the leadership of the political party. So, just like I said earlier on, the Constitution, however, does not explicitly state what happens if a sitting governor later leaves the party after election. So, Governor Diri has not done anything unconstitutional. He has not done anything unlawful. If you consider different acts we have in the country and then Bayelsa State laws, he hasn't done anything that is unlawful as well. So, there is no need of saying something about automatic loss of office. Because, well, let's court and if you are thinking that he has to go, you have to take him to court, and you must have a locus going to court anyway. So I remember that if it has to do with issues of state assembly or senate or house of representatives, we will tell you even the legal precedent. That is one on the legal aspect of it. So he has not done anything unconstitutional. He has not done anything illegal. So having established that, we now move to the political aspect of it. If you look at it politically, I listened to Siriaki Dixon, who anointed him. I listened to his statement. He said to his credit, he consulted him. He consulted him before resigning from the party. But one big thing he must also say, according to him, let me quote, that he wasn't convinced, because he did not see reason why Siriaki Doye will leave or resign from PDP. Remember, Doye was first elected and sworn in on the 14th of February 2020. He's a second-term governor. So Siriaki Dixon was wondering why a second-term governor would defect. If you look at those who have defected, you talk about the governor of Akwa Ibom State, a first-time governor, governor of Enugu State, a first-time governor, governor of Delta State, a first-time governor, because they will be seeking re-election and possibly they need greater political realignment.
Federal support.
You're the one mentioning federal support, but at this point we call it realignment.
Okay.
For them to win election. So the fear of winning election under PDP platform has become manifest, has become existential threat.
I mean, the word federal support actually came from Monday Pueblo. He said it at his meeting the other day, that things are made possible because the presidency supports And without that support, you only show that you are in line with that support by wearing the bat cap.
And that's one funny thing about our democracy. It happened on its own. And remember, it's just a way of indicting himself that he never won that election. It's a way of saying he never won election.
Quite a smart deduction.
But that's just that. Because if you look at it, remember, the PDP counterpart had challenged that he won that election. And we saw what security agencies did in that very state. So let's not go into that, because Supreme Court had adjudicated over that and made pronouncements. So leaving that behind, but he's just somehow indicting the election that produced him as a governor, that he won as a result of federal support. But that's by the way. Now, we know very well that over the time, we've seen the ruling party at the center get a state if they decide or if they choose to. But we have seen states that it never worked, because Obasanjo had wanted to get Lagos from day one, but it never worked. He was quite advised. He tried to use different techniques, but it was the one that there will be political consequence. If you try to get Lagos the way and manner you got Osun State, you got Ogun State, you got Ondo State, even you got Oyo State. Remember, these were states won by AD in 1999. But surprisingly, in 2003, they all fell to PDP. And Obasanjo knew what he did to make those states to fall under PDP. So he knew what he did to make them to fall. Now, having established that, so he was one against coming close to Lagos, because if he had got Lagos, that would be the end of opposition in Nigerian politics. If Obasanjo had got Lagos, we won't be talking about opposition in Nigerian politics. So do you
think that is a premise upon which Obi is believing that these defections cannot translate to capturing the states come 2026?
If you look at it, defection of governors does not translate to the state being captured by the ruling party. How? If you look at the last election we had, we saw some governors losing their state to either PDP or Labour Party. So we saw that it happened. So when you thought that some APC governors could have heard the tough and ensure that their party wins that state at the presidential election, it worked in some states, it didn't work in some states. So the governors will mobilize, there's no doubt. They will pull the strings, no doubt. But would the people follow them? So having a defection in a particular state does not mean that that state has fallen under the party the governor has defected to. It only means that the state has fallen to the governor's mobilization, using funds to bring voters across different lines to the party. Whether he will succeed depends on the people, and that is where it is.
Now let's take it back to Joy Ejiri. He said he resigned his membership of the PDP for obvious reasons. What obvious reasons are we talking about? Is there something beyond the lack of coercion at the PDP national body? Is there something beyond that? Is there something else that Joy Ejiri is possibly hinting at as his reason for leaving the PDP? And is there any possibility that he's also looking forward to something else, eyeing something from the federal angle? Reason for him leaving the PDP. And I'm also curious to find out. And a lot of Nigerians are making predictions. Where is he heading to?
We know where he's heading to, there's no doubt. He's heading to APC. But I think there is a pressure on Governor Diri Doye. There's a pressure because if you look at the way and manners others left
resigned
PDP, they did everything one day. After their consultation, after meeting with the stakeholders, they decided a date and where they go out in the open field, beamed on the national televisions. You see the defection where they will be renouncing their old party, going into a new party. We saw that in Akwa Ibom, we saw that in Delta, we saw that in Enugu State. So there is this pressure from certain stakeholders, not just in Bayelsa State, in South geopolitical zone, telling him, you are the only one left. Why Fubara is still in PDP is for technical reason. They would want to, why Fubara is still in PDP? Look at the design of River State the design is done in such a way that PDP or those people involved will control both the two structures, both PDP and APC in Rivers State. So if Fulbara leaks, it gives room for strangers, unknown people to control the structure of PDP in that very state, and it will be in such a way that it may slip from the hands of Wike. That is one. So it is being kept there for strategic reasons, pending when they have got everything or when the traffic light turns green. That is the case of River State. Then the case of Akwa Ibom State, the governor made it open that he still control the both structures, the one in APC and the one of PDP in Akwa Ibom State. And he said, for you to contest anything under PDP in Akwa Ibom State, he has to vet it. He has to approve it. In fact, he is the one funding both PDP. He's officially in APC, but he's funding PDP structure in Akwa Ibom State.
From where, please? When you say funding, from where? Taxpayers' money?
You are asking from where? Especially the governors fund these political parties. It's no doubt the governors funds political parties, especially the political parties we are conceived in such a way that it will be funded internally by the members of the political party. But they have left everything to the governor and then use the word, the leader of the party, to make it to be the very common exit or escape route for the governor to fund. So they will call the governor the leader of the party. And you know what a leader means? He's the one funding the party. As against them contributing, paying their levies and fines. But that's by the way. Now, you go back to that of Doye Dire. We know very well that he has about how many years? 2 years plus to complete the second term. And he needs to assure those who have been pressuring him to leave PDP that he's already doing that. Why you didn't see him to join APC immediately is that he has not extracted commitment that he's going to be the leader of the party in that very state. So for any governor to leave his party, the party he's going into must assure him and also have a commitment in any form that he's going to be the leader of the party. It happened in the other state.
Delta,
where Oborowori said, I'm now the leader. And in fact, Nentewa Akpabio declared him the leader of the party in Enugu State.
And the party structure was also dissolved to absorb him before.
Definitely. So these things have not been done in the case of Bayelsa State.
And why are they not doing it? I mean, if you're calling me to come to a feast, surely you must have prepared a chair and a table for me. You don't call me to a feast and then tell me that I have not even gotten a chef for becoming. I've not gotten a chef. I'll still talk to the person who owns the hall, because this is what it's beginning to look like. And do you think it is wise for Doye Dire to have fallen for that?
I think Dire, remember, there was a new political movement that was formed, and this political movement warned him that if he does not join APC, that they are going to oppose him, they are going to work against him. And this political movement, I can't remember their name, we are told is linked to Wike. A new political movement linked to Wike, forcing him.
Give me a second, Tony, because I'm trying to make sense of all of this. You're already on your second tenure. So if you tell me you're going to work against me, what difference does it make? I'm not standing any election. So why? What is the locus for that threat?
I think if you look at the locus for that very threat, he's not standing any election come possibly 2028 when Bayelsa State
tenure expires.
Yes, but he faces the problem of succession, one, and also future political career.
I think that's where the problem is.
That is just the issue. So if you look at it, you understand that he's thinking above, not just now, he's not talking about the immediate. He's not talking about the immediate. And the fear that in the entire South, apart from River State, you are the only one standing. So how can you cope where you don't have brothers in the entire southern part of the country? Sorry, south part of the country. So we must let you know that he has a lot of people in APC to contend with. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Senator Henneken Oberi, but he has openly and publicly welcomed Dire's resignation from PDP. But would he allow Dire to be the leader of the party, because as it sounds now, he is the leader of the party in Bayelsa State, Senator Heniken Lopobori. And he has also have David Leon, former governor-elect of Bayelsa State. He's still in APC. And they also have Senator Diege Eremio, ex-senator in Bayelsa under APC. Remember, he was the one who applauded Diri's departure from PDP. You also have Osomkine Blackson, who has been identified as a top APC leader in Bayelsa. He welcomed Diri's resignation. I'm aware that even Honorable Israel Sonny Goli, who is a member of the Federal House of Representatives from Bayelsa, Brass and Nembe, APC, he welcomed Diri. So all the APC stakeholders in Bayelsa State, they are welcoming Diri.
So what is keeping them from giving him the commitment to properly defect? Because like you pointed out, he's standing outside waiting for proper commitment before he enters. And presently, as a governor, it's unfortunate that the law is not explicit on what happens when you get elected. When you insist, it's like insisting that you must come to school, insisting that you must come to school in a uniform. But I tell you, you know what? If you enter the school, you can go naked.
I just like you said.
It doesn't make any sense.
But it doesn't make any sense. But they will need to work out terms and conditions. So they have accepted in principle that Diri will be the leader of the party in Bayelsa State. But there are some terms, there are some concessions he has to give out. Because once you're a leader, you also allow somebody to be the chairman, allow somebody to the party chairman, allow somebody so a particular zone to man the secretary of the party, allow a particular zone to man. So they have to extract from him how the leadership of the party in the state will be spread across the territorial districts. So that is one. And also their reintegration into his government. Because as you are coming into APC, they are going to reabsorb some APC top shots in your government. So they need to also extract that commitment from him. So they are working out the terms and conditions. But I remember very well that the Concerned Bayelsa Stakeholders Forum, that the CBXF, that pressured Diri to resigning from PDP and then possibly get into APC. They have been on his neck, this Concerned Bayelsa Stakeholders Forum. And their argument, if you look at it, their argument that Bayelsa remains the only PDP controlled state in the South, and that continued PDP affiliation would marginalize the state relative to federal development, project execution, and political influence.
Isn't it
that
sad?
They cannot be the only state being controlled by PDP in the entire south part of the country. And likes of Wisdom Ikuli, who is Governor Diri's technical advisor on print media, we know very well is the convener of that CBCF, and it went further to threaten that if he doesn't do that, the members of the State House of Assembly threatened that they would defect. If he does not lead the defection, they will leave PDP. So Diri was pressured left, right, center. In fact, the members of the State House of Assembly publicly told him that if you do not do this, we are going to resign, leaving you in PDP. So this man faced different pressure from different quarters, from different personalities, from people in PDP. Internally, PDP advisor was divided. So they were all asking him, lead the way. And that he has done. At least he can now take his BP drug in peace. Because what they did caused him a lot of blood pressure. And they are looking at certain things. Like now, being a PDP leader in that state, you know what that automatically means? Whenever there is federal appointments, he will be consulted. When it comes to appointments into special area, you have Ministry of Niger Delta, you also have NDDC. I mean, most of these things, he was overlooked. He was not even consulted when certain appointments were made into some of these things. But now, the president cannot do anything in that region, especially in Bayelsa State, without getting him involved. He will be the one that anybody that comes, he may vet it and all that. So that be the case even in Anambra State. We saw how some people from Imo State had given the president a name for the Southeast Development Commission. That's the representative that will be coming from Anambra State. So it happened that Mr. President asked them, did you consult the governor? Because the governor is his friend. Did you consult the governor? And they said no, they did not consult the governor. It was APC stakeholders in the region produce this list. No, the president told them you have to consult the governor. And when the governor was consulted, based on the list given to him, it happens that one of the persons the governor had wanted to be the executive, the CEO of that very commission is in the list. What happened was the person was elevated more. And that's how the person becomes the executive chairman of that very Southeast Development Commission, because the governor, even when he's in another party, is the president fine. So things like this work. So for jury, there will never be anything federal government will do in Bayelsa State or have in Bayelsa State or in South region without his involvement.
So this is a question of I want to enter the inner caucus. This is what this is all about. These governors wanting to be in the inner caucus. All right. Fayose said yesterday, that's the former governor of Ekiti State, that 3 more governors elected on the platform of the PDP would soon dump the PDP and go to, hopefully, other parties, maybe the APC most likely. And let's also forget that while he is not in support of the APC, he is also not very much happy with what is happening in the PDP, especially when he was part of the G5, if I'm not mistaken. He was one of those that fought so hard to make sure that the PDP stays together. And he's always been asking this question: why leave the party when you can do your bit to put it together?
I think if you ask Fayose, forget what Fayose said. Fayose is one of the problems of PDP. And I listened to his interview last night, where he was asked that why didn't you put PDP to what it should be. He said that he's not the captain of the ship. That they have governors who are the captains of the ship, that he had been supporting Aswaju right from time. In fact, when Aswaju had surgery, he was right there in his house. Apart from being in his house, he has openly and publicly supported him. Why would you be in a political party and you be supporting the candidate of another party openly? Is that not anti-party activity? So we must ensure that this issue of anti-party activity in our political parties, it must be reinforced. If I were in the National Assembly, I would propose a legislation on anti-party activity, Prohibition Act. Anti-Party Activity Prohibition Act. I will propose the legislation because it makes some individuals see political parties as a business venture. For them, wherever the business moves for them, that's where they may be here officially because of the gains I'm making here, and they will be there the other time because of the gains. You can't be making gains from two political parties at the same time. So that is why I will introduce a legislation, if I will here, either in the Senate or in the House of Representatives. Anti-Party Prohibition Act is not something I would want to get into the Electoral Act, because if it gets into Electoral Act, they will not obey it. Nobody does anything to enforce the provisions of Electoral Act. The ones that are not too sensitive, the one that goes on with fine. So I will introduce a legislation on anti-party activity. So if you come out openly, either covertly or overtly, whichever one, you fall in for that. And if you are prosecuted and you're found guilty, you will lose not just membership of that very party, you also lose the seat if you're holding any political office. So it is important and possibly fine. See, we must guide our democracy. From what we are seeing so far, it has turned out to be a business venture for politicians. They are here, but they are still there. Many of them are guilty of this. Many of them, because I was espousing this theory, and somebody openly told me, Tony, tell me who is not guilty of this. Atiku is guilty. Obi is guilty. I was marveled. And he asked me, which political party does Atiku belongs now? And I said, Atiku has left PDP. Is he a card-carrying member of ADC? And I was looking at the person.
So they are simply shopping for convenient platforms. Speaking about that, I was referring to Sheyi Makinde when I was talking about the G5. Fayose was not in the G5. But if they all have this impression that you need to fix the house where you are in. I mean, Tony, it's just like your roof starts leaking and it's your house, so it's not like you're a tenant. And all you do is just to pack out. Pack to where? Pack to my house.
You know why so? Because we don't have a stringent legislation that stops that. See, if you don't have stringent legislation on killing, do you know people will be killing people anyhow?
Absolutely.
Somebody will offend you, kill the person. But we have a stringent legislation that if you kill somebody, you've committed murder, and if you are charged and prosecuted, convicted, you are going to go in for it. And
well, do you think we will, especially where it favors the lawmakers?
That is why it takes the little or few good ones to create the change the country needs.
Will they get the assent for this change to happen?
And
remember, you cannot just move a motion and it flies.
And the point is,
you would need a certain level of support.
Both civil society organization, advocacy groups, you can even involve, because if you look at the foundation of that very legislation, it is anchored on principle to save our democracy. We are political parties will not be turned into political ventures where people just be here. It means that somebody can be in 3 political parties. If you look at the constitution, that for you to vie for this office, you must be a member of a political party and you'll be sponsored by that political party. And the only time the constitution talked about leaving the party you were elected into has to do with state house of assembly, house of representatives, and the senate. So it's not enough. And what happens if a governor leaves? So we need to get that amendment also done. While we are talking about anti-party activities, which is what is killing democracy currently in Nigeria, anti-party activity. We must also talk about this issue of defection. It has become a national cancer. That's what it is.
Don't you think that all of these are also fueled by the fact that these people are all pursuing personal interests?
But it should not be so. The interest should be for the public. Any interest that is not in the good interest of the public should be seen to be a business-related interest. That's
who
what
is going to fight what it is? Because we know what it is, but who is going to fight it? Now, rounding off this conversation, Tony, the final question from me would be, there are fears that we are drawing closer to a one-party state, a one-party nation. If all things being equal, fingers crossed to see what happens by 2026, are we going to have up to 30 governors for the APC? And for a nation of 36 states and 30 governors are in one party, that's a problem. I think that's already a problem. But then people like Obi believe that regardless of political party, the people still know what it feels like or what a good leader should look like. Do you really trust that one party system or not, our democracy is still sane enough that people's votes will count regardless of the party, the one party that is at the helm of affairs?
I think we're making a mistake. Currently, APC has 26 states controlled by the party. 26. You have Labour holding 1. You also have ABGA holding 1. That's 28. Mm-hmm. And you have Adamawa, Bauchi, Plateau, Taraba, Zamfara, Oyo, Rivers, and Osun still under PDP.
Still under PDP. Okay.
So you have about 8 that are still under PDP. But if you look at that 8, that 8 looks so quashiocored. Reason, Osun state governor has 1 leg in PDP. River state governor has 1 leg in PDP. You talk about Taraba state governor has 1 leg in PDP. Plateau state
APC,
governor,
you mean?
APC. Osun state governor Adeleke has 1 leg in APC. River state governor Fubara has 1 leg in APC. No, remember, I have removed the word executive governor from his own title. Then you also have Taraba state governor.
And so the point is, at the end of the day, all of these things,
having 1 leg in the APC.
When they eventually get to the APC, would that affect the quality of our democracy, in the sense that the reason why they are moving there, and of course the APC is absorbing them, is in the hope that it would translate to more scores in the 2027 elections? But some persons are still of the opinion that, party or not, the people know what they want. Do you believe that? Or are we heading for a capture?
I think, party or not, people still know what they want. I agree. No doubt. But you cannot also remove the influence of these defections, because these defections is going to have influence on major elections. They will have influence.
So what would you want a person like Obi to do, especially where, looking at what it is now, there is no structure backing him? The ADC structure is more or less underwater already.
If you look around, for me, the coalition seems not to be selling very well. The coalition, we had thought that the coalition would be in such a way that will challenge the status quo. But we've seen coalition being aggravated by selfish interests. And Afayoche pointed out something like that. And he said, among Obi, Amechi, and Atiku, who would step down for each other? Atiku said, I will only step down if I lose that primaries. And we know very well that Atiku is the grandmaster of political primaries. Grandmaster. So when he says that he's going to face primary, everybody will say, oh, we are not going to match your dollarization of primaries. That is one. Now these three persons, why coalition is not moving on is that they have not decided amongst themselves who they are going to back. If Atiku comes out now to say, you know what, I'm stepping down my ambition, I'm going to support Obi, or Abechi saying that, you will see the coalition will take a kind of leap, momentum wise. So that is not happening.
There are no states backing the coalition if you look at it.
But you know, just like I said earlier on, let's not look at this issue based on states backing coalition or no state backing coalition. Remember, I've said many times, if you look at states won by Atiku in the last election, APC states, are you aware that Atiku one state like Kaduna state controlled by APC, one Sokoto state controlled by APC, one Kebbi controlled by APC, one Gombe controlled by APC. He won even Yobe controlled by APC. Atiku won Katsina controlled by APC. These were APC states. But as a PDP candidate, he won the states. What happened to the APC governors in those states? The same happens in the case of Obi. Obi as a Labour candidate won Lagos controlled by APC. Obi won Enugu controlled by PDP. Obi won state like Ebonyi, Anambra, Abia, Edo, and Labour had no stronghold in all of these states. But that is another experimentation we're going to watch. It happened before does not mean it's going to repeat itself. That's another fallacy people make, that for the fact that something happened before does not mean that it's going to repeat itself. But it is a kind of guide. You have to judge the antecedents of anything that has set a precedent. So having known this, it tells you that you will not rule out these defections, influence, but it does not automatically grant to anybody that these states have fallen to APC in the next election.
Exactly, because you're supposed to consolidate on these antecedents,
yes,
right? But what we have seen is a total, would I call it, losing of these antecedents. But we keep our fingers crossed to see how it eventually pans out in 2027. And of course, there are off-cycle elections coming up. We're going to take a break at this point, attend to some commercials. When we come back, we take a look at inflation rate has dropped to about 18.2%, first time in 3 years. And of course, Amukito is going to be screened today. All of those we'll take a look at right after this break. Do stay.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
On the move again, Anambra is Abga. On the move again, Abga is Anambra. On the move again, Soludo is our choice. Oh, on the move again, good road, Ideo, free education, Ideo, quality healthcare service, Ideo, new government house for lighthouse or Kadua, solution from city, Idua, Okoko new heaven. Better security, many better life project. On the move again, Anambra is Abga. Abga is Anambra. Soludo is our choice. On the move again.
On November 8th, vote for continuity and more development. Vote the Soludo Ibezim ticket. Let the solution continue. Abga, Onyaga na one. Vote Okuko.
Quality bread, Wendy's bread, for your family breakfast. Wendy's bread, Opa Chichande Tozialo. Wendy's bread, Mama Papa they like Wendy's bread, na Chichande Nyanduo. Wendy's bread, even children they like Wendy's bread, Wendy's bread, Minta. Wendy's bread, get it better, tasty, we go sweet your belly. Wendy's bread, Wendy's your Chichama. Wendy's bread, the champion. Wendy's
Wendy's Bread, your tasty bread. You can contact us on our official address, 2nd Business Park, Enugu Road, GRA, beside Onitsha, Anambra State. We also have another branch at St. Michael Plaza at Tandy Road. Also contact us on 070-1149-1571. Wendy's Bread, your tasty bread.
Wendy's Bread.
You're listening to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic. You're listening to the Polity. Get involved now.
Conversation is still on. It's still the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. And of course, we're going over to some economic matters now. Stable Naira, food price cash, drop inflation to 18.02%. And of course, this is according to the National Bureau of Statistics report, which was released yesterday on its consumer price index. It showed that headline inflation rate dropped by 210 basis points from 20.12% in August 2025 to 18.02% in September 2025. And it is the 6th consecutive time since April 2025 that inflation is shifting downwards. The decline in headline inflation rate was driven by broad improvements in prices, especially with sustainable or substantial drop in prices of food items, food inflation. These had dropped by 500 basis points from 21.87% in August 2025 to 16.87 points in 2025 September. The decline in food inflation was attributed to a decrease in the average prices of common food items like maize, grains, gari, beans, millet, potatoes, onion, eggs, tomatoes, and fresh pepper, among others. Core inflation, which measures all items excluding farm produce and energy, dropped by 80 basis points to 19.53% in September 2025 as against 20.33% in August 2025. And of course, all of these are some economic jargons to the uninitiated who at this point would be wondering, how does this affect the standard of life that I live?
If you ask how does it affect the standard of life you are living, it simply means that you are going to buy a particular product more cheaper. If you used to buy egg, the amount you bought it the last time, it means that you are not going to buy that amount. You are going to buy it lesser and possibly make some savings. You can also channel to other things. And then we must also, maybe for education purpose, let everybody knows that when you talk about inflation, we've talked about this here over time, but we're going to say it again. If we talk about inflation, it's all about tracking the consumer price index is important. So inflation is typically measured via the consumer price index, which tracks changes over time in the prices paid by households for a fixed basket of foods and services. So if you look at the present quarter, we are being told that it is now 18.20%.
32%.
Of course, that's what, okay, 18.02%. Having note that, and one would also ask, what is that consumer price index, CPI, that is being used to calculate inflation? It's just an economic indicator that measures the average change in prices of goods and services that households typically buy over time. So that indicator that tells you that you are no more going to buy this amount and it's being sold this amount, and it's triggered by a number of factors, there's no doubt, because those factors that also make the inflation to go up, once those factors are dealt with, the inflation will come down. So the National Bureau of Statistics usually collects prices of hundreds of commonly used items: food, transport, housing, clothing, health, education, so many of these items. And these items are grouped into a basket. The cost of this basket is tracked monthly and compared with what it costs in a base year. That is, for instance, 2018 or 2025. There is a base year they usually use in making this competition. So, and the percentage change in that total cost gives the inflation rate. So you compare it using a particular base year. So the arithmetics is not something we are going to go deep into. But I know that if you want to calculate CPI, it's usually cost of basket in current year divided by cost of basket in base year, multiplied by 100. That is how these things are easily calculated. So what is the price of, if you have grouped agricultural products or possibly food item, you put them in basket. You talk about yam, you talk about tomatoes, you talk about gari, you talk about rice, you talk about groundnuts, and some of these things, if you have grouped them, put their costs together, divided by the base year cost, the one I said that you usually have a base year, multiply by 100. So whatever it gives you tells you what that is. That's the comparison. That is the CPI. So you use it to compute the inflation. So if you look at inflation this time around becomes the CPI this year minus CPI last year divided by CPI last year. That is how inflation is calculated. The CPI of this very year, you minus it by CPI of last year divided by CPI of last year multiplied by 100. That is the mathematical computation of these things. But we are told, just like you asked, how does this affect your life as a citizen or somebody who works or who goes out to earn or eke a living for himself or for herself? The only way it affects you is that you go to the market, the price of 50 kg rice might not be the amount you bought it last. You will see it drop by a particular margin. The price of egg, either a crate of egg, the price of this, the price of that. But it does not mean that every price of every commodity must drop. It doesn't mean that. But major commodities in that group, you see their price being either changed or dropping, as a result of some of the things that triggered its inflation. And we can't talk about things that trigger inflation because we've talked about this over time on this very program. But some of these things are being also addressed. Remember, the forex is one of the triggers. Foreign exchange. It affects the local productions, no matter how you look at it. And we've seen dollar coming down. The exchange rate between dollar and naira coming down. I think the last we checked, it has now moved beyond 1,500 and something as it used to be. Somebody was telling me it's now 1,499. So it tells you that dollar is steadily coming down. And what also makes the dollar, the exchange rate, to come down, because we are having exports. If you don't make exports, you don't rake in dollar. So if your exports are not disrupted, if you make a consistent and steady export, it also ensures that you have steady dollar income. And if you are able to use it in a way that there's no pressure on it, where many people will be chasing the dollars in a way that it will trigger the price off. So we've seen dollar dropping. So it's also affecting the inflation, there's no doubt. And you have other factors as well. So we have to leave it at that. So it's something we must also acknowledge the effort of the government, because these things are not done automatically. Those that will tell you, why some of these prices are dropping is because we are in a harvest season. My brother, apart from harvest season, we have seen the fiscal policy and also the monetary policy of the government. And I've explained here over time that the monetary policy is run by the CBN, the Central Bank of Nigeria. The fiscal policy is run by the central government. So it has to do with tax, revenue, and expenditures. That's the fiscal policy. And the monetary policy, I have explained many times on this show that there are different components of monetary policy. You're going to talk about the MPR, the monetary policy rate, the liquidity ratio, the cash reserve ratio, the asymmetric corridors. So these are some of the things that we've seen, some of these things being pinched to ensure that more money in circulation, these things are mopped up in a way to see if it can drive the inflation down. So they have been doing a great work. There's no doubt. We must acknowledge that.
We must acknowledge that, and we are hoping that in the coming days, the average Nigerian can breathe easy. The average Nigerian can, like you said, make some savings. Also, I am hoping to find out if there is something being done in terms of regulation, because sometimes you find out that some of the reasons why this this reduction in inflation rate does not translate to the livelihood of the people is because some persons who are supposed to, who are not supposed to control pricing, they do. Start with issues of hoarding. You start with issues of artificial scarcity. You start with issues of even man-made inflation as against the actual inflation caused by the factors that you have mentioned, Tony. What is the Consumer Protection Commission doing about that?
I think that agency seems to exist on paper. For me, if you talk about Consumer Protection Agency, it only exists on paper. I've not seen how they have been able to protect Nigerian consumers. Many of them have been swindled. Many of them have paid in for a lesser value of a product as advertised. So we've seen some of the things. So they're not doing much. I think we need overhaul as far as that agency is concerned. And people are not feeling their impact. I don't know how they relate to the people. What we are talking about is that it doesn't mean that they're not doing anything at all. But what they're doing is far below average. So one can easily sum it up, but they're not doing anything. So it is important. It's one thing that Nigerians will wish how they are being protected, especially in service and then in products. Are they being protected? Many of them go in for certain things, and then if you go out there, you see how they are being cheated. So many fake products, substandard products. These things are in circulation. We don't even have a strong agency that deals with fake products. The Standard Organization of Nigeria also exists on paper. There are so many substandard products. What are the standard for every product in Nigeria? It's not about it has SON certification. That is nonsense. That certification has not even earned us or gained or made us to feel safe in consuming some of these things. The truth remains that these are where taxpayers' monies are being paid for those who do not do anything, those who do nothing. So it is important we start looking at institutions, especially that protects what citizens consume on daily basis. We can say yes, NAFDAC seems to be trying, but sometimes they politicize their efforts, and that is the problem we keep having. But SON, if you go in now to buy electrical appliances or electronics, you wouldn't even know the ones to buy, but these things are into the country. But they pass through our borders. These things we are either cleared at different wharfs. So we shouldn't be, or we should not be having some of these fake and substandard products in our economy. It should not have its way because it is devastating. Any fake or substandard product you buy, you have wasted money because you are going to buy again.
And let's not forget that we also wasting lives. A lot of times people die of poisoning from these fake products, especially where the pharmaceutical products are the ones in question. Exactly. And we are hoping that regulators swing into full action and the lives of Nigerians are protected. I mean, it's one thing for you to eke out money to try to save life, and in a bid to do that, and sometimes these things are even as expensive as the real things, making it difficult for people to even. This is not a case of people choosing cheaper items. It's a case of the system, that's supposed to protect killing. So let's go over to security now, because some northern stakeholders, speaking about the Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammad Saad Abubakar, this statement was actually made by his representative at a special summit. It happened in Kaduna. It was a summit of northern ulamas, and at that summit, Sultan of Sokoto Muhammad Saad Abubakar was represented by the Emir of Zazo, Ambassador Ahmad Bamali. He said it was time for Muslim leaders to unite and address the growing misuse of social media and the rising insecurity threatening national peace. It was just the other day that we were still dealing with issues concerning the labeling of killings in Nigeria being a Christian thing. But when you look around you, you'd find out that today it is Sokoto, tomorrow it is Zamfara, tomorrow it is somewhere in Plateau. It looks like there is no peace in most parts of the country, especially in rural communities, all right? Most of these conflicts, most of the issues of cattle rustling, most of the issues of banditry attacks happen within rural communities, and one is left to find out this is beyond religious issues. Sometimes could be religious, but this is beyond religious issues. And according to the Sultan of Sokoto, Nigeria is at risk of chaos because of the rising violence. And also yesterday, Governor Rada said he does not negotiate with terrorists. This is coming at a time where we have seen negotiations with these elements being at a rise. But Katsina State Governor Diko Rada said he's not a part of it. But Tony, what can we do? What can we do to, bring about a collective approach to dealing with insecurity in Nigeria? How do we bridge this gap between the constant profiling that makes it look like it's a divided issue? When farmers up north are affected, food security all over the country is affected. the pricing. When we talk about inflation, insecurity is also one of the reasons why the cost of food items are high. Look at the fact that farmers someplace in Zamfara have to pay these elements before they can access their farms.
I think when you talk about insecurity, because you mentioned 1, 2, or 3 things. One, the need for Muslims to unite in fight against insecurity. And secondly, the issue of being labeled as a state persecuting Christians. And thirdly, what we need to do to bring about security in every part of the country. I think we have said many times here that insecurity in Nigeria has different legs depending on where you are seeing it from. So if you are to talk about the issue of Nigeria being profiled as a country that persecutes Christians, one would also ask why we should allow some sections of Sharia law that conflict our constitution. The issue of blasphemy, where if you, for whatever reason, according to what they call blasphemous act, you are being stoned to death. Is Sharia law more than the constitution? So we must separate some of the things and then make sure that every law that is inconsistent with the constitution of the country shall, at that level of inconsistency, remain null and void. But why should we have a country where we are governed by 2 different laws? You have penal code at the northern part of the country, you have criminal code at the southern part of the country. That's one. You also have religious law, taking charge in some sections. These are some of the things we must resolve as a nation. That is one. Then coming to the issue of the insecurity, the need for ulamas, Muslim leaders to come together to fight this common monster. And you must also ask, we have sincerity of purpose? We are being divided more than what binds us. From the look of things, we are divided on different angles. We have divisions everywhere, and we must also try to foster unity in every divided area. We must try to bridge the gap, and we have some of these things fueling these divisions. We are fanning their embers, so it is not in any way helping us. Insecurity, we must start from different angles, both national reconciliation, meting out justice to those who have been unjustly treated, those who have been, for one reason or the other, injustice has been meted on them. We must begin such reconciliation, and we must also, the political class, ensure that they bring quite a number of developmental projects. We must make health, education, security to be issues that nobody should politicize. You can't politicize health, and we must map out a dedicated fund for health projects, developments in every part of the country. We must make it as a law, a legislation, not in principle. If we make an act for a law that says that 25% of our budget must be dedicated to health, it becomes a law. So anybody preparing budget, we know there is a law that says this should also, it's not a matter of policy. I have said it many times that we must start to translate certain policies that are good for the country into legislation. The idea of translating them into legislation is to give them that legal framework to operate. That is one. And secondly, we must also foster decentralization of certain security architectures. And we have talked about it. We must allow communities to take charge of security in their local domain. Communities to do that. And that community should be answerable to the state government, not to the federal government or to the central government. So we have to have the same thing at the local government level. And while we are doing this decentralization of this security architecture, we are dedicating so much funds for ensuring that these projects like education, health, these things are there. That is one, or say two. And we must also make sure that we attract investments, because once there is security, investment will come. Look at the kind of lands we have in the north, lying idle. These lands we have in some part of the north can feed the entire Africa and Asia. Quote me, not just Africa, Africa and Asia. If we have optimized what we have, there are so many countries that don't have arable lands. There are so many things we can export because we have nearing 2 million production capacity per day, having steady revenue in terms of dollar, inflation coming down, which I have also explained, and we have also seen the CPI, so many things coming down, because that is just a margin, a fraction of what this country would have turned into if we leave partisan politics, this division, and some of these things that are holding this country backward. There are so many things holding us backward. Nigeria should not be a struggling nation by the way God has made this country by default. It should not be. Nigeria should be feeding other countries. The way the United States of America is the way Nigeria should be. Intervening in African matters, supporting African countries with funds, raw funds, and also making a homeland to be a place that people can always wish to be in. These are things we are lacking, and it also takes right leadership for some of these things to come to be.
All right, speaking about right leadership and doing things the right way, Professor Joash Amokwito is supposed to be screened by the Senate today. What are you looking forward to, Tony? I'm
looking at situations whereby, in fact, he may take a bow. Yes.
What do you mean?
Taking a bow means that his screening is just a formality. Remember, Mr. President convened a Council of State meeting. I saw the Senate President who was in that very meeting. I don't know if the Speaker of the House of Representatives was in that meeting, Tajuddin Abbas. But what I'm seeing today is going to be more like a formality. But I had expected them to look at his academic records, because people have raised issues about his academic records. How you translated from polytechnic to university, and the numbers, the figures, they say that you cannot read law in 4 years or 5 years.
All of those have been clarified.
But yes, but he has to clarify it himself.
Oh, okay.
He has to. Not those, because for those who have made statements, I now know you can read law in 3 years. In the olden days, yes, there are people that read law in 3 years. So, but he has to clarify those things. People that have pitched issues, and then the issue whether he has been in Mr. President's legal team directly or indirectly, he has to also clarify that. But I expect a thorough screening that we are sure Nigerians, or even boost their confidence level. But that's what I expect. But my expectation, will it come? I don't know. But for me, it's going to be a formality.
All right, and fingers crossed. Let's see how it eventually pans out. Hopefully before the end of today, by 6 p.m. news, hopefully, or even before then, maybe before 4 p.m. news, we'll definitely be getting.
And if he's screened
feelers
today, it means that he'll be sworn in, and he's going to be the one that will conduct an Anambra election. That's another.
I thought we agreed that until Mahmoud Yakubu's tenure is over.
The law is silent on that.
The law is silent.
The point is, once he's screened, the next will be his swearing. Once he's sworn in, he takes over.
Right, fingers crossed. We would definitely keep you updated as all of these developments are updated on. And of course, we're going to take another break at this point, attend to some commercials, and we'll be right back to open up the phone lines. Still stay.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
If home had a heartbeat, would you hear it? We hear it in calls across oceans, in plans that come alive at home. Journeys begin, doors open, arms widen, home welcomes it all. Morning brings Ofala, a day of blessing, renewal, and new beginnings. What brings us together? What builds our resilience? Ofala Festival 2025, October 17 to 18, in collaboration with Glow, supported by Best Gin, Hero, Origin, Udala Radio, and Zenith Bank. Join us for an unforgettable celebration of our culture, unity, and perseverance. Visit ofala.org.
People of Upo and the entire Anambra State, get ready for a life-changing apostolic invasion. It's Upo Citywide Crusade, powered by Upo Christian Association, with the Restoration Apostle Johnson Suleiman, live in Anambra State. A divine awakening for signs and wonders. Come and witness the mighty miracles of God in a prophetic atmosphere like never before. Upo Citywide Crusade. Theme: The Lord, He is God. It will also feature anointed songs ministrations by Ambassador Chinyere Udoma and Minister Adrian Alex. The date is Tuesday, 28th of October at 4 p.m. and Wednesday, 29th of October 2025 at 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. And it will be happening live at Walter Eze Memorial Secondary School Field, former Boys Secondary School, opposite All Saints Anglican Church, Udunukofia Local Government Area of Anambra State. For inquiries, call 0903 952 1048 or 0806 297 8399. Please note that there will be free transportation to the crusade ground. Upo City-wide Crusade. Come in faith and you shall see the power of God.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
And of course, it's still the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. It's about time. The time you've been waiting for. 0803-221-6973, Those are the numbers for you to call. You stick to 2 minutes. You go straight to the point. Be as objective as possible. And do us a favor. Turn down the volume on your radio set before you put that call across, okay? And you can also drop a comment on our Facebook at Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Now, we're also getting feelers that proceedings are ongoing for the court to determine the case of Nnamdi Kanu. I mean, the case about his health issue.
The panel,
yes,
the report was read today during the court's proceedings, and then from what we are learning, is not the news that many of you may share up, but the panel report has been read.
Fingers crossed, Tony. Let's put a stop to it there. Okay, when the official reports are out, you will definitely get to know. But hey, it's already ongoing. Proceedings are already ongoing. Let's hear what you have to say. Hello, good morning. But I just begged you to turn down the volume on your radio sets. Good morning.
Good morning, my speaker, Mbeki.
You're welcome.
Good morning, Chisom.
Good morning to you too.
Good morning, Franklin. This is the voice of Honorable Sokoye.
Go ahead, please.
From Maurice.
Go ahead.
What is happening in Nigerian politicians? Happening in Nigerian democracy? It's not a palatable thing that people will be rejoicing. If even the president knew this, he's aware of what is happening. It's not a good thing. The way all the sections going to one party system is just killing the democracy. I remember this president when the military was in power. He's one of the serious advocates of democracy, serious one. But now that is in the hem of affairs, he don't want to implement it because he favored him. He may try to implement it in second term as you are about to go. But now he cannot do it. Let us watch and see what is happening. But if this president, if they try to keep things going well in this country, I said it yesterday somewhere, foods, eating, things start getting low. And I think nobody will challenge you again. At least it's going. But only Peter Obi and Atiku may try to challenge him if things are still going like this. But if this gets normal, nobody can challenge him. This politician is going north and south. South wants to fit into the system. And the north are watching what is happening. My speaker, thank you. I'm done.
All right, thank you for your contribution. Are you there? Good morning.
Wonderful morning to you, Chinedu.
Dr. Tony Mbeki, good morning.
You're welcome. It's good to have you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Dick, and I'm calling from Onitsha.
Go ahead,
Let me
DK.
just say that Nigerians under democracy, under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we are gradually sliding into one-party system. But the North, who have a major block of votes, we give him a run for his money. Even if these governors let them jump to Republican or Democrat, to me, I don't see them as any threat to what is going to happen in 2027. Because the North is not jumping guns with them. The North is sticking with the ADC or any political party they didn't fit. But the Southern politicians who, to me, don't have a stand as far as the Nigerian electoral system is concerned, because South and Southeast, especially the Southeast, will be locked down for His Excellency Mr. Chidozi. So you can see that they have nowhere to bench for now. So they have no option than to go to the president, and before the president could even come, they will bring a issue for the president, just like have the Super Robert Stamp Assembly of Adio. So I think that, to me, the report, the already report you have from the US have nailed this very country. And I've gotten information that Canada have also supported the Nigerians as a country that is killing the Christians, which is a genocide against the Christians. And President Bola Ahmed also confirmed it when he said that it's not only Christian that is being killed, that Muslim is also being killed. So he also indicted himself. Now, when you're negotiating with criminals and bandits, and you are telling me you are bringing doctors to come and examine Nnamdi Kanu, what is he even doing in the prison yard? So this administration, to me, is not a democratic administration. In fact, they have killed democracy, because in a situation that the judges can, give a fair ruling or allow them to function in their own pace, you dictate to them what to say or what not to say. Thank God for Omoyele Sowore. If not for the pressure coming from Omoyele Sowore, how many people will be speaking up today? And Atiku Abubakar, our governor is here busy talking about next election, talking about Asiwaju. The one in Edo State is threatening commissioners that you must hear the T-shirt of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And you ask, these people are they human beings?
You should be rounding off now. I've got to let you go.
Yes, I'm done. So all I'm trying to say is this. People should brace up for more, because more is about to unfold.
All right, then. That's your opinion. Let's hear you. Good morning. Are you there?
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Tony Olisa Mbeki.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. The voice of Engineer Frank, I'm calling from Onitsha. For me, I want to contribute on the issue of one. I think all those things is an indication of self-science. Our institutions have failed. Why I say, because if our institution is working and our electoral system is working, all those things and again, all those things will not be happening like this. Because this is just an indication that we the past have no say in our democracy. That is what it means. Because if individually we have a say and our vote is counting, all these governors that are jumping from one political party or the other will not be doing so. Because they know that the power lies in the hands of the person who is the president. That's why they are what they see, and that's why they are behaving the way they are behaving. So what I'm asking Nigeria is that we should rise up to all the provocation and make sure that before the next year election, there's kind of in our electoral system there's let's reform our electoral system. That's what we'll be fighting for now. So if we can fight for that our electoral system is reformed, all these people who jump the other political parties, they didn't have any effect. You show them who we want. So that's what I'm pleading for. Thank you very much.
All right, then. Thank you for your contribution. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
I'm Dr. Tulsi.
You're welcome.
Very good morning to you.
Good morning. Please go ahead.
Okay, Chidi Chukwuka joining you for this morning.
Go ahead, please.
Yes, so I heard this voice note from the professor, the chief executive reason that a cross-carpet obvious reason, even though that you did not allow us to know those obvious reasons. But I know that the reason for cross-carpeting will not be different from other people and have cross-carpeting.
Well, it wasn't me who didn't allow you know the obvious reasons. That was where his statement stopped. That was all he said.
Okay, let me just proceed, please. So I know that they can never be different from that. All these excuses that they are giving is a very flimsy one, because I think most of the time they don't think of the other jurisdiction, what to make them or their political system to be stronger. And you look at those like Republican and the Democrat in America. All this party has existed for so long, and it is very, very hard for anybody to cross-carpet, no matter the reasons. But here in Nigeria, maybe because of lack of ideology, and also the corruption and the fear of being attacked with some of the state agencies like EFCC and so on and so forth. And also the fact that where food is ready is where everybody is getting to. The water has been watered, the ground has been watered, and everybody wants to be there where it is happening. The Nigerians call it a moving train. And that is why they are heading for one-party system, which will not work in Nigeria. Most of the time, some people will tell you that China, for example, they have one-party system. But with that consideration that we have got, they are totally different from us. China is homogeneous people. We don't share the same ideology with it. We don't have the same system. Our electoral system is not strong at all, and we are looking upon China. This is heterogeneous people, and the people are talking of one-party system in Nigeria. What of if a particular tribe sees a particular political system to continue to promote their own agenda? What can you do? And that is why this thing cannot work. And the fear of corruption that they will attack you, then that is the only reason why some people will keep on moving from one political party and the other, with their consideration even to the need of the region where they come from. It is very, very bad. Totally
should be rounding off. You should be rounding off. Thank you for your contribution.
Okay, I'm already done. Thank you.
All right then, and so I am going to be taking this as a breaking news. The Nigerian Medical Association has informed the Federal High Court in Abuja that the illness of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Bob Nnamdi Kanu, is not life threatening, and of course we all know that there's been a motion for Nnamdi Kanu to be transferred to a medical facility out of what he's been accessing in the care of the DSS so that his health can be attended to. Now, the medical panel set up by the NMA president said it had concluded the health assessment ordered by the court on the IPOB leader and found that Kanu is fit to stand trial. So Kanu is fit to stand trial, and according to the panel's report, which was submitted to the court on October 13, by the prosecution team led by Chief Adegboyega Awomolo, and partly read in open court today. During today's proceeding, the medical body stated that the defendant's ailment does not pose any immediate danger to his life and confirmed that he's fit to stand trial. And of course, a lot of interpretations are going to come in now. What does this imply, Tony?
It simply implies that he's going to remain in DSS custody. And if you go by some other part of the report, they say that DSS facility or medical facilities can attend to the ailment he actually has. That not that he does not have any ailment, but the one he has is not life-threatening, that requires such emergency situation, so that he is fit to stand trial. DSS facilities can take care of the ailment. Is not major, is a minor ailment which their facility can address. But I know very well that the defense team will not be happy with this very development. And I recall very well that Onitsha, who has made frantic effort to see that Nnamdi Kanu accesses medical attention or medical treatment,
medical care,
away from DSS custody anywhere in Nigeria. But Justice James Omotosho, having listened to both sides, decided to constitute a medical panel, which he said would involve the Nigerian Medical Association, those from the National Hospital, and so many other persons. He mentioned that will be in that very panel, and they have submitted a report, and they say that his ailment is not life-threatening. So it means that he's going to go back to DSS facility to continue to access medical care.
All right, then we're going to take one or two more calls, and then we head over to Facebook. Our handle is at Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Olisa Mbeki.
You're welcome.
Franklin, I throw salute on you people. The voice of Honorable the Mayor, Okulola, Ochebden and those. Can I go on?
Yes, please.
Yes, let me categorically say very clear that Nigeria is suffering and smiling. This every time changing from one party to APC, changing from one party to APC. Now, I have a question to ask you in the house. Does this mean that APC government is the best government that has come in Nigeria as we are sitting now? The way things are going, both in education, our health system, our education system, does this mean that they are doing well? That we make all our governors and the top politicians to be going to the best party? Because if they are going there, that means that the party is doing well or best. So I'm asking, I want to be cleared on this. Secondly, I want to ask, apart from the appointment of Tompolo, what business has Tompolo that made him, where did he get such billions of money to donate for security? Oh, Nigeria, I wish for Nigeria. Thank you and God bless you.
All right, then, Anzo Kuchukume, he's asking, Tony, what else does Tompolo do outside Tantita?
I think that Tantita contract is about 48 billion naira. Okay. And that gives you about 4 billion per month. And then for him to bring
every
10 billion.
Year. Interesting.
That's 48 billion every year.
Okay. Good morning.
Hello?
Yes, good morning.
You had me screaming, my lady. Good morning.
Good morning to
you.
You're welcome. It's good to
have you. I miss you guys. That's my friend Franklin. I miss you guys. Tell you what. Well, we are about to follow. Let me do that. We're about to we're about to go full circle. We've done parliamentary. We've done American style. Now it looks like we are going one party system. I've not experienced that 40 years and they are still counting up my political life. I don't think that. And Tony, you not told me exactly what that one party is going to be like. I've had my last annual about 31, 32 states in one party. Or the governor just dragged everybody to one party. That's why they dragged them there. But tell you what, I feel very sad and very sorry. It is not a healthy situation. And it does speak well of this country, the biggest black country in the world, presenting this kind of scenario in that kind of democracy. It's a big shame. It is. Journalists, and I hold firm on the fourth estate of the rain, go do proper investigative journalism so we know where the politicians are taking us to. You have a blessed day. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your contribution. Before we head over to Facebook, there's been an incident on Onitsha Road this morning. I'm still trying to get more information as detail is still very sketchy, but it looks like it was really, really bad. An articulated vehicle, the one that carries containers, from the videos I have seen, fell on Onitsha Road, and we all know the situation of that road right now. It is really, really bad. We have called for intervention over and over on that road. And word on the street is that it fell, and it fell on top of a tricycle with people on board. Now it's an arena of destruction because people have dragged out the driver. They are trying to mob him. And of course, you know how situations like this pan out. I saw people carrying really heavy stones. They're already on the tipper. They are breaking the windscreen and all of that. But the big question is, things like this wouldn't be happening if at least our roads are fixed to a good standard, at least. Maybe not international best standards. I mean, it's not even too much to ask for. But, we're also hoping that necessary authorities get to the scene to avert further destruction and also see what can be done to the remains.
And we pray that the casualties won't be as much. But when you hear that articulated vehicle fell on tricycle with, conveying people, it tells you that if you want to be real, that people may die as a result of this. And if you say that Nigeria happened to these people, there's those that will tell you, no, you don't make such statements. The truth remains that we must declare some roads to be, in such conditions, and these roads must be declared emergency. Why would they allow these trucks to go through this road when we know that they can easily fall off? Why do we allow that? We must, in Senate line, they take issue like this. They take it so serious. Anything that will cause accident, they ensure that it is prevented. This one is preventable. This one is avoidable. That's the point I'm trying to make. Purely avoidable. Can we, in fact, if we cannot put this road, or put palliative works on this road, can we bar trucks from plying the road? Can we bar them? The roads are in a bad shape. That's why I don't like to hear this word, federal roads. Every state should own any road that crisscrosses it for a good reason and take charge of it.
I would also want to implore tricycle drivers, please now, you have lives in your hands. I know you can maneuver, you are small, but can you please consider these lives? Sometimes when you board tricycles and you see what they do on the road, you keep begging them, would you please take it easy?
I was bemoaning their attitude the other day here. And I say they don't drive for themselves, they drive for those they are conveying. Most of these people, their own is to maneuver, to overtake, to do this, to do that, without reading or even imagining the implication, the consequences this would also cause. It's important. The roads are in bad shape, especially that Onitsha road. I'm using this medium to call on the governor of Anambra State to put up a palliative work, despite the fact it's a federal road. Put up a palliative work. We can put on stones on those roads and allow these roads at least to have a kind of, a level field. Even when we know that they can stagger but they cannot fall. We can manage staggering, but not, we articulated vehicles will fall. So it is a concern. Let's take human life so serious that anything that will endanger life should be prevented, should be worked on. I think we should take issues that constitute emergencies so serious.
All right, then let's quickly attend to your comments on Facebook before we take down the curtain on today's edition of the show. Ugochukwu Frank is saying that governors are defecting like dominoes, and you think that the president isn't doing anything. What exactly is he telling them behind closed doors? The man's political game is something else. Don Dejavu says the defection of opposition governors from the PDP to the ruling party stems from the need to enjoy political protection against prosecution. They were caused to join the APC because they have messy skeletons in their cupboards. Okoye Angolika says, thank you, Angoli. Oba Anthony, he says that if governors defecting to the ruling party will change Nigeria for the better, he doesn't see anything about that. For Atiku and the coalition, no need for anybody contesting against Atiku because Obi is not ready to spend money like Atiku. Thank you all. Okay, Clement Odife. He says, it's obvious some persons defecting to the APC are not doing out of clear conscience, but coercion, threat, subjugation, and what have you. Why no wonder a foreign country designates APC and PDP as terrorist organization. Nigeria may just be heading for the worst if all vouchers gather at the APC. Okay, Chimubaome, he says politics in Nigeria has been hijacked, and other parties are at risk of being overturned by what he calls a terrorist party. And the reason why every other party is joining the APC is because they are doing nothing in their states. Okay. he thinks that the governor of Anambra State is not joining because he's working and his work is speaking for him. Christian Onyedikwa, he says every governor is joining the APC because they know people's votes will not count. If it's people to vote, they will stay in their party. Okay, I'm sorry we cannot take every of those other comments, but we see you, Cityman, we see you, Sebastian at Igwe, and we see you, the Collins, Uzoma Owakwe, and other comments from the post made earlier. I'm sorry we cannot take all of it right about now. Tony, what are your parting shots?
I think we have seen defections, the wave of defection, so we are in the period of defection, so the season of defection. Remember, there was a time we were in the season of open letters. Obasanjo is not writing open letter again. Wole Soyinka is not talking again. These are the people that from time to time they try to engage Nigerians on issues, but we know how partisan sometimes these issues could be, but nobody's talking about again. But then we are in the season of defection. We can also savour it, we can also enjoy it. But one thing I'm saying is that these defections will have influence on the future elections, but it does not also mean that these elections are already won by the states that are having these defections, and we have more work to do. So we're also looking forward to the electoral reforms that we'll be expecting by December and see what is going to come out of it. We must find a way to make Nigerians believe that their votes count, and whatever they do at the polls means so much for the development of this very country. So we are looking forward to see electronic collation, transmission of results, and some of the things that many Nigerians have cried for, so we can give it to them. But for the political class, remember, you are there for the people.
All right, hopefully you remember that you are there for the people and you do everything possible to engineer the change that you promised. And I am pleading again, tricycle drivers, if you would hear me, your life is not the only one at stake. The lives of the people that you are conveying all depend on you. Would you please drive more responsibly? And joining my voice with that of Tony and that of other Nigerians and of course Anambra indigenes to beg on the government of Governor Charles Chukwuma Soludo to at least carry out a palliative work on Onitsha Road. Both sides are really bad. The accident this morning happened at exactly in Wemena by that Ndomo fuel station. Now, if you have been there, you would know very well that that place is a death trap and something needs to be done as soon as possible to close up that death trap. The Polity is going to make a return tomorrow, 9:15 down to 11 a.m. Until then, I am Chisom Chinedu. Good morning.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.